Okay, hello YouTube. Today I'm going to be doing my first tutorial as a YouTuber for Blender, and I just started this fresh. If you didn't see there, so that way you guys know I'm not doing any like behind the scenes magic to fool you guys into thinking there's some special way to do this. Now what I just did was I just came in here and turned on screencast keys. Why? So that way you guys can see when I hit keys, like for example how to open this menu, you hit N, and how to close it, you hit N. So I can open and close it, and it'll tell you how many times I hit N. So obviously I've hit N 30 times just now, 31. Alright, so what we are going to do is we are going to make a basic cloth simulation. So we're going to hit delete and get rid of the square. We're going to come over here to add, or you can hit Shift A. No, not Shift S, Shift A, and add things into the thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a plane, and we're going to scale this plane up by hitting S. You hit S to scale, and then it'll give you this, and you can scale it upwards. And now that our we have a basic floor, yes, I said floor, we're going to add another mesh. We're going to add a UV sphere for our cloth to collide against in this simulation, and we're gonna come over here to smooth this cloth. Oh, and how I'm moving this is this is called the manipulator. It has a red arrow for the x-axis, it has a green arrow for the green axis, and a blue arrow for the blue axis. So this will manipulate the object throughout the three axes of 3D meshes. So we got our basic, 3D, get back over here. We got our basic, whoop, I just grabbed them all off all the axes. Alright, so we have it there in the middle. Now we're going to add another mesh, a plane, and I accidentally moved the, I don't know what this is called, but what it does is it, wherever it's at, that's where your mesh will spawn in when you hit add. Anyways, we're going to take this plane and we're going to put it right above. There we go. We're going to put it right above this, a couple more inches too, and we're going to scale it up. And what this plane here is going to be is it's going to be our cloth for the simulation. But first, we have to turn on collisions for everything. Now, the collision modifier can get a little complicated with its permeabilities and its stickiness and other such words that are very funny. But we're not going to be messing with any of that because the basic presets of everything work just good enough for this cloth simulation. So that is fine. I actually want to scale this up a little bit more. So hit S to scale this up some more. There we go. Got a pretty big cloth going on over this ball here. Anyways, so now what we're going to do, so while we're over here in the collision, this is the, what is it called? We have the render tab, the modifier tab, this is the simulation tab. These are all simulations in this tab. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a cloth simulation to while we're clicked on this. And what this is going to do is let us simulate it as a cloth over time. So what we can do with this is pretty cool. Well, to start, Blender, for us lazy people out there, has given us a couple presets in case we're too lazy to look online and figure out what the springing is of fucking rubber. I imagine it's pretty high, but we're going to use silk because I like silk. And we're going to leave the quality at 5 for these steps. And we're going to come over here and open up the cloth collision tab. And we're going to turn the collision quality up to like a 10. A 5. Because I'm doing a tutorial. If you're not doing a tutorial, please put it on something higher. Because, it'll look better, I guess. But we'll put it on 5 because this is a tutorial and it doesn't need to be super special looking. Now, if we play the cloth simulation now, you're going to see it just hits that and does some weird stuff. What the hell? Right? So, also we're going to want to turn this down to 120, as we don't need a million seconds of animation. But that was weird, right? It didn't look like a cloth. Well, the reason for this is because this, if we go here into the tab mode, is one singular polygon, right? So we got to come over here into our tools tab over here. Pull this open a little bit more so you can see it better. We're going to come over here and we're going to subdivide. Now when we subdivide, each subdivision cuts both along the X and Y axis on the mesh. So each polygon will get an X and Y cut, creating, three new polygons, or making 3 new polygons, or turning the 1 polygon into 4 new polygons. Yeah, there we go. For every cut. So if we turn it up to 2, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And if we turn it up to 3, there's 12, I believe. As you can see, and onward and onward, onward. So what we're going to do is, for the sake of the tutorial, I'm only going to put it up to 20 cuts. Now, if you're doing something, that's supposed to look professional, please use a lot more than 20 cuts. Use like, I don't know, 30? Yeah, use like 30. 30 will look nice. Use like 30 or 50 if you're doing your own thing. But since we're doing a tutorial here, we'll use 30. We'll make it look decently nice. Alright, so now that we have that in set, if we tab, by the way, you tab the switch between edit and object. If we tab back into object mode, we can come down here and play the simulation and see how it falls through. And it falls through beautifully. It collided with the sphere. It's simulating that it's a cloth, and it collided with the floor. Now, what we have to do is pause this and come back here to the beginning, and we will we'll come over here to the shading and we'll smooth this. Now what this is gonna do is it's gonna smooth it like the sphere, but you can't really tell because it's a square right now. But when it starts to bend, the bends will all be smoothed out instead of all squarey. It'll look more like a cloth rather than a bunch of little squares. So now if we play it, see how the animation looks more cloth-like, but you're still going to be seeing random stuttering errors over in here because we only use 30 cuts. If we would have used a lot higher cuts, obviously the animation would look a lot nicer. We turned on self-collision earlier. We can turn up the quality of the self-collision so it doesn't collide with itself so much. And if we restart the animation, see the quality of its self-collision go up. So it's not colliding into itself and not clipping through itself as much. Also what we can do is we can turn up the quality of the cloth simulation itself up to like 10. That'll work. And we'll restart the animation. And as you can see, now the quality of this cloth will look a bit nicer, like I said before. Now as you can see, we're obviously getting like weird square stuttering right in this area, and what this is from is the low amount of cuts we use. See how you can start to see the squares indented in this? If you have, the more polygons it has, the more realistic the cloth animation will look. So always keep that in mind. But anyways, I hope this tutorial was helpful to you and you making, cloth simulations. Don't forget, you can also change the material, and here we'll restart the animation. Now it's a different material, and you'll see how it will react slightly different than silk will, because cotton is not silk. See how it's sucking itself up in more and other such things. These are things you want to keep in mind with the different types of materials that you are using. But anyways, this was a tutorial on the cloth and collision system, and I hope it helped you. And before we go, I will add a lot more cuts to this, so that way you can see what a decent 2 should be more than enough, because 2 times whatever number we used earlier, 2 times 30, 60. I think my mathematical logic makes sense. Maybe not. Anyways, you're gonna see the frames drop here, because this requires a lot of graphical power. But yeah, as you can see, now this is not looking as square like in the animation, and the cloth is pulling in on itself from hitting that. So hard, and see how it's not colliding with its, like it's not going through itself, it's colliding with itself in these corners where it's getting brought in. This is what we call realism, and see how it looks less square-like over here on the cloth. This is like a number you'd actually want to use for an actual rendered animation. But anyways, I'm gonna pause that and end the video. So I hope this was helpful to you, and I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one.